Hi, bud. Hi. Hi. So what's up, dudes? I am here doing my final ride on my Rocky Mountain altitude. I've had this bike for a year. This bike was a little bit of an experiment. It was my big bike experiment. I used to have a blog back in my cross-country racing days called Big Bikes, but it was kind of a misnomer. I misnomer with this freaking fidgety glove thing. I was an early adopter of 29ers, but it really had nothing to do with that. The name came from a Kaya song, and that's all it was. It was a stoner rock song with the lyrics "Big Bikes" in it. It had nothing to do with big bikes. I was riding single speed 29ers with 80 or 100 mils in the front, no dropper post back then, dude, and racing 100 milers. At some point, I should do a channel introduction and tell you guys about you know, who I am and where I came from. The short of it is, I'm a recovering XC dork. And just over the past few years, I've gotten into full suspension bikes and then bigger full suspension bikes. Last year, I was on the Django 29 from Da Vinci that had, you can maybe link to the a link to that review, my year-long review up there, dude. So I've demoed a lot of bigger bikes, but I've never owned or ridden a bigger bike for a period as long as a year. So going from from single speeds with barely any suspension to a 29er with 130, 120 was nuts to me, but it turned out to be just like a stepping stone. Admittedly, this is going to be as much a story about riding a bigger bike than I'm used to and how that worked out rather than a review. I mean, this bike has been reviewed. Again, if you want like a straight review, there's plenty of other sites. Go see MTV Yum Yum or Bike Radar or something. They're gonna do a straight review. I'm gonna ramble and tell you guys stories and bust into a bunch of non sequiturs in my intermittent Boston accent. It's a thing. It's intermittent Boston accent syndrome. You know, I suffer from it. Bill Burr suffers from it. You know, really, I like to lump myself in with him. We're kind of on the same level. All right, getting back on point. So I went from a 120, 130, or 130, 120 29er to a 160, 155, 27.5 bike. That's, you know, this is a bike that, you know, Jesse Malamed, who rides for Rocky Mountain, he won the Whistler Enduro last year on this thing. So this is a bike that you can enduro on it, but then it's also kind of billed as an aggressive trail bike. You know, it's not the biggest bike Rocky makes. You know, they make the Slayer, dude. That thing's a beast. You know, I was just interested to see if I could be happy riding my trails, you know, this sort of twitchy, up, down, rocky stuff with lots of like quick little power moves and all this. The first day I rode this thing was at the Harold Parker Wicked Ride of the East, this NEMBA event up in the North Shore, dude, up in Andover. Is that North Shore? I don't even know. Our then Rocky rep, Sean, gave me what was his bike, his Rocky Mountain altitude. Oh wait, you know what? I should. Hold on, I'm gonna put the bike in back of me. This is stupid. Alright. Oh, that's freaking numbskull. Give you guys something to look at besides my stupid face. Hey, can you keep it down over there? Albie, stop freaking chewing the trees, dude. Aspire to be better, Albie. Literally the first time I rode this thing, I rode it for about 25 miles. Hey, you gotta keep it down. Dude, no. Ready? Ready? Get the out of here. So I was a little dubious, you know, because that happens when you look at bikes on paper and it kind of gets in your head. I mean, honestly, I had a thing about wheelbases, and I'm not super technical about stuff. I'm not a big numbers guy, but I had this thing about 1200 mil plus wheelbases, and I was just like, it's gonna be a boat. I'm not gonna be able to, you know, get the front end up in a tight spot. I'm not gonna be able to corner the thing, and so I just kind of shied away from bikes with wheelbases that were over 1200. You know, so I didn't really know any of the numbers on the altitude when I took it out. And what I did know is that Sean put it in the high ride 9 position. So Rocky has this thing, it's called ride 9. It's a 9 position. I don't fully comprehend the thing, but it does change your head angle by a degree. And it's pretty simple. It's not something I would do on the trail, but I have messed with it. Like, I've gone to Highland, and you know, sometimes when I go to Blue Hills, I'd put it in full slack mode, I'd put it in neutral mode. If I was doing more stuff that was, you know, more descendy. But, you know, for this up-down stuff, you want it. I mean, I want it. I'm never gonna tell you guys what to do. I'll just tell you what I do, what works for me, what doesn't work for me. I would never presume to tell anyone else what to do. Plenty of other people doing that. I don't need to. When the Ride 9 is in the steep position, it also raises the bottom bracket. I think it's about a 66.1 head angle. That's the steepest it goes. It might, yeah, it's 66.1, I think. And it raises the bottom bracket a little bit, or that's the highest position for it. So that makes it work really well for this pedally, rocky stuff that we have here. I actually wrote down notes about what I was going to talk about, and I don't think I've hit any of those points. So I was surprised by how well it handled the kind of rocky, up, down, twitchy tech stuff, but then I was really surprised by how well it climbed, or how much it made me want to climb weird technical ups. I actually started cleaning stuff or thinking stuff was possible that I didn't think was possible. So that was a thing. I actually was sort of inventing new lines on the thing, and like particularly through this section here, which will be in the video probably a couple times, I adopted a new style. And I noticed, I mean, you've got more travel, you got a longer bike, more stable bike, and so I kind of adapted more of a momentum style, which, I mean, I was a single speeder, so I was used to carrying momentum into ups and things like that, and you just can't afford to scrub speed. But this was different. This was, you know, kind of using the 160 fork to absorb the stuff in front of you and then just go through technical sections faster, kind of bottle up all your speed. It's like speed bottling. You got to bottle up all your speed for later and then unleash it, you know. So in between technical features, save up the speed, then sprint into it, and then just kind of float and pump through it. And it's a great feeling. And I think, I mean, I'm riding this bike better than I've ever ridden a bike. And that's unbelievable to me, coming from where I'm coming from, which is XC Dork land. Yeah, I took this thing all over the place. I had this thing out with me in Moab and rode a bunch of stuff out in the west. You know, I rode Grand Junction, which is pretty technical, and Fruta. We did the, what's that thing called? The More Fun Please, which I guess some people call No Fun Please, which is super techy. And it just ate all that stuff up. I mean, it's a light bike too. I mean, for what it is. When I go back and forth between bikes and I get back on this, first thing I notice is I'm like, wow, it's pretty light for what it is. And then there's something, again, not the most technical guy, sorry Pete Verdone, the bike it's supple. It's like, it feels like very planted, grounded, and supple through a lot of stuff. By grounded, I don't mean it doesn't pop up when you need it to. It's definitely like it's a monkey, you know. You can like throw the thing around, get up when you need to, you know, get the back wheel under you if you know, if some drop creeps up on you or whatever. You can definitely get up onto, you know, small mesas. I just recently learned that Spanish for table because I'm an ignorant son of a bitch. Mini mesas, we got a lot of those out here. We don't have full-size mesas, we got mini mesas in New England. It's just like these little, you know, it's like a coffee mesa. That's about it. I really love the bike. I'm a little sorry to see it go. I probably, you know, as usual, I probably missed a bunch of stuff. If you got questions, hit me up in the comments. But remember, you know, always try to make your mother proud. You know, like, be a decent person, be polite. You know, don't do anything to embarrass your family. That's all I got. I'll be. All right, you throw this off a cliff. Go get it. Don't knock over the tripod. I guess I'll close with a message to fellow 40+ recovering XC dorks who worry a lot about head angles and all this stuff and travel and too much travel. Just get out and try the bikes. Just get out and try, you know, demo something big and fun. And it changes how you ride. It's less abusive to ride on normal trails. You know, I mean, another thing about me you guys should probably know is I've got a fused spine. I've got very little mobility in my neck and lower back. I've got 10 out of my 12 thoracic fused. So you know, if you see me in a profile in the video or whatever and my back looks a little funny, that's why. It's been fused for about 20 years. And so I appreciate having a little bit more cush. It allows me to ride, you know, my mountain bikes sometimes 5 days a week, which even when I was racing bikes, I was unable to do that. I was only on the mountain bike, you know, pretty much at the race, then maybe one other day a week. And then I was on the freaking road, dude, and that's no fun. Not for me. I mean, it's fun for people who like that, but you know. Come here, you. What are you doing? Oh. All right, Albie says we're done.